All right, so this is where we left off last time. So I want to graph the pulse width modulation um, versus the angular velocity, and I'm going to do the raw count. So the pulse width modulation is dependent upon the raw count. The angular velocity is I'm gonna leave that open. I mean, unlocked rather. You can sit in. So this is the way I'm thinking about it. Raw count is the independent variable, and pulse width modulation is the dependent variable. So I can graph those two, which is what I'll do first. And then we are going to, I'll just start right there. So I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to go to scatter, and I'm going to select on smooth. No, why do I want smooth curves? I don't want smooth curves. I want to change chart type, and I want points now. So you'll see that we have points here. All right. And I guess we could go all the way back to 0, but we don't have to do all of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and let's label this. So this is going to be the, so I think the first thing that one should do is label the axes. So this is going to be the pulse width modulation. And we know that this is going to be in microseconds. So I think that's Alt M, yep, S, all right. And we're going to have this in terms, let me see, the bottom, this is going to be raw count. Yep, and raw count is just a number. It's coming out of like bits, how many bits you can have. So now I want to take this point and I'm going to form a trend line by right clicking. So I can add a trend line. Now you can add a trend line a different way. So we can actually add a trend line by going to add chart, and you'll see trend line. So we can go to more trend lines here. And when it does that, you'll see that it puts a trend line on here. Let me move this over a little bit. And it's going to be linear. So we want to place our equation on the chart, and we're going to do our display. We're going to display our R² value. Now, how meaningful this is, I'm not quite sure, but we're going to go with it anyway. It is an equation. It's a relationship between the raw count and the pulse width modulations. So I don't like all this dead space on the side. So I'm going to move this. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if I move this over. I'll double click on my number line, and I am going to go between 40 and 120, 110. All right, so that looks good. All right, and so I thought that okay, so now I can say raw count. I couldn't speak with intelligence until I knew what each axis was. So raw count is our independent variable. Pulse width modulation is our dependent variable. So this is a raw count correlation to the pulse width modulation. And we don't need microseconds here. Just delete that because I just want a title. And that is pretty much the graph. I'm going to go ahead and move this chart. And I'm going to call this one raw count versus PWM. And this is a regression analysis chart. So I'll just place this right behind my regression analysis. So you can see that we have ourselves a nice chart here. Now in the next video, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do pulse width modulation and angular velocity. Okay.